When it comes to collecting, everybody has a holy grail, one item they desire more than any other. And usually this comes from some kind of strong emotional or sentimental attachment. Or maybe it's just because the item is rare and hard to come by. But when it comes to sea monkey stuff, this is my holy grail, the green pirate treasure kit. As a kid, I was obsessed with sea monkeys, and obviously not too much has changed. But back then, the only tanks I ever had were the regular old ocean zoos, which are fine, but they're not particularly interesting to look at. And I remember seeing pictures of these elusive tanks with glowing sunken treasure ships in them and thinking it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. But as far as I was aware, there wasn't anywhere local to buy one. So for me, these things were always a bit of an enigma. And even now knowing about all of the different sea monkey tanks and the countless variations of the classic Ocean Zoo design, I still think this pirate treasure kit is the very best Ocean Zoo tank variant ever made. And today, I'm finally going to fulfill that dream and unbox the tank that eluded me for so many years. Now, this pirate treasure kit was first released in 2008, but it wasn't the first set to feature an Ocean Zoo style aquarium with the sunken ship ornament in it. In fact, there have been a staggering 5 different kits featuring this sunken ship, the first of which came out 10 years earlier in 1998 with Exploratoy's release of the Sea Monkey's Ghostly Galleon. This box set featured a yellow and blue Ocean Zoo style tank with the glow-in-the-dark ship ornament. It also had a submarine searchlight, which was a battery-powered light that fit into the tank's specially designed lid. Soon afterwards, the packaging got a slight upgrade, now with a big window on the front of the box which actually showed off the kit's contents. And it's at this point that things start to get confusing, because it seems that around this time, another very similar kit also got released by Exploratoy, the Sunken Treasure set. The contents of this were pretty much the same as the first, the only real difference being that it didn't come with the submarine searchlight and was presumably sold for slightly cheaper. Apparently Sea Monkey creator Harold von Braunhut was well known for making these small changes and tinkering with the kit several times. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish, but it certainly makes the history segment of this video more interesting. I actually picked up a sunken treasure kit on eBay a little while back, so let me know down in the comments if you guys want to see a review of this one at some point too. Anyway, carrying on to 2003, an Exploratoy decides to release a third ship-themed kit, this time calling it Sunken Treasure Ship. This one was almost identical to the previous iteration, though this time the lid was just a regular Ocean Zoo style that couldn't accommodate the submarine searchlight. 2 years later in 2005, and wouldn't you know it, Exploratoy decided to release a 4th sunken ship kit, this one being called Hidden Treasure. Thankfully, it did actually come with some interesting improvements from its predecessors. Firstly, the tank was now available in 4 new transparent colours: orange, green, red and purple. The other change was the return of the submarine searchlight. Okay, I know this is a lot, but I promise we're almost there. Around 2007, the license to produce Sea Monkey products shifted from Exploratoy to Big Time Toys. In 2008, Big Time Toys decided to release their own version of the Hidden Treasure Kit, essentially just repackaging Exploratoy's set and giving it a new name, now calling it Pirate Treasure. And that's the kit I have here and the one I'll be reviewing today. This is the 5th and final iteration of the sunken ship kits, and honestly, it's my favourite of the lot. Just to add to the mess though, this set came in 2 packaging variants as well, one on a small blister card and the other housed in a large box. Surprisingly, the contents of these 2 are essentially the same, the only real difference being the inclusion of an Aqualesh aerator in this box kit. Today will be my first time using one of these tanks, and I'm going with the green one because sea monkeys love eating green algae, and I'm hoping that after a few weeks, this ship is going to be absolutely covered in it. So, with the history lesson out of the way, let's finally take a look at the packaging. The Pirate Treasure Kit comes in a really nice box which displays everything well. You don't really see this kind of elaborate packaging with toys too often these days, which is a shame, because all of this artwork adds to the anticipation and fun of the product. I really like the art too. It features nautical pirate-themed sea monkeys who appear to have just discovered a bounty of treasure. 2 interesting things to note here. The first is that those 3 antennae on the heads of the sea monkey characters seem to have bone in them judging by this skeleton, which is surprising. I always figured that they were just floppy cartilage. The second is that the male sea monkeys have impressive camel toes. Turning over to the back, and we can see some pictures of the different contents found in this kit. It shows how the submarine searchlight fits into the lid and shines down into the tank to charge up the sunken ship, which appears to glow in the dark. I'm really excited to see this in action. Surprisingly, the little blurb on the back just has some generic sea monkey information rather than anything pirate themed or specific to this set. It is interesting to see it written in Spanish and French though. I didn't think sea monkeys were ever particularly popular in the non-English speaking parts of Europe. Perhaps this was for a Mexican and Canadian demographic instead. There is one last thing I noticed that's a little curious. This white box at the bottom lists the box contents and says that the egg packet has 75 sea monkey eggs. I don't remember seeing this specific number on any other kit I've unboxed, so that's a bit odd. Anyway, let's open this up and see if we can get any of the 16-year-old eggs in here to hatch. I know I've been saying for quite a while that I don't consider myself a sea monkey collector, and that's mainly because I really just buy this stuff to make videos about them for you guys. But so much of it fills my house now that it's getting more and more difficult to pretend that my ever-growing pile isn't just a big-ass collection at this point. So we'll start off by taking a look at the paperwork. The first is a simple battery instruction sheet for the submarine searchlight, basically just saying to use fresh AAA batteries. The next is a general information sheet, which was a standard inclusion in all sea monkey kits at the time. It tells you about the origin of sea monkeys and has a parts and supplies list for ordering specific products. The last piece of paperwork is another standard kit inclusion, this time with illustrated instructions with a step-by-step guide for setting up your tank. There's also a cardboard insert that was in the tank which features some more pirate-themed sea monkey artwork. These little touches are completely unnecessary, but I think they add a lot to the character and fun of the kit. So even though it doesn't serve any practical function, it's nice to see it included. Next up we have the two tank accessories, a vintage double-ended yellow feeding spoon, and a purple Aqualeash pipette for aerating the tank. This one actually says Aqualeash on the shaft, which is pretty cool. Of course we also have the 3 standard sea monkey pouches. You'll notice these don't have the Made in the USA stamp on the front. That's because Big Time Toys decided to go rogue with the brand and counterfeit their own packets, but that's a story for another time. Next up we have the submarine searchlight. Now this thing is its own piece of sea monkey history, having been included in several kits over the years. It's also a product which was made available for individual sale too. Basically this thing is just a little battery powered light with an articulating head, though what makes it special is that it fits perfectly into this kit's tank lid. Speaking of which, here's the pirate treasure tank itself. Isn't it beautiful? The design is basically just a regular ocean zoo, but with a few important modifications. Firstly, the tank's base and lid is transparent. I like this because it should allow more light to enter the tank, which is good for both algae growth and being able to see your pets clearly. Another unique feature is of course the modified lid that accommodates the submarine searchlight. The hole up top also doubles as a feeding and aeration hole for when you're not using the light, so that's handy. I've just gone ahead and put a couple AAA batteries in this thing, so hopefully it's still working and turns on. And there we go. I'm glad to see it still works after all these years. So it just pops into the lid like so, and shines down into the tank. I've got to admit that I actually really like this. I'm a big fan of any tool that encourages people to interact with these products more, so this gets a big thumbs up from me. Coming down and we have the pirate treasure tank's most obvious feature, the sunken ship ornament, which is made of a phosphorescent material that glows in the dark. The ship clips into a small notch at the base of the tank which keeps it nice and secure. For some reason the ship has 2 holes on top and one large one in its hull on the starboard side. Sea monkeys will definitely be able to fit in here, so I'll have to keep a close eye to make sure that they don't get stuck. Now the elephant in the room is, why wasn't this idea expanded upon? The framework to create various clip-in tank ornaments was already there, but all we ever got was this sunken ship. Imagine the possibilities. A clip-in castle, a sea monkey character, an octopus, some brightly coloured coral. The options are endless. A modular approach would have been such an easy way to create more variety in the tanks, but for whatever reason, it never happened. I'm not the first person to have this idea either. Sea monkey illustrator and friend of the channel Todd Machin actually put together a pitch that explored this concept in great detail. His illustrations show several possibilities for modular tank ornaments, and different aquarium shapes too. This would keep production costs down while giving the community more tank options to experiment with. Sadly, it seems like the idea hasn't been picked up. At the very least, I'm glad we got this ship, because it's wicked cool. I'm hoping the extra surface area and texture it provides will be a good surface for algae to grow on. Time will tell. Alright, let's get it set up. Now I am going to attempt to hatch the eggs from this kit, but at 16 years old, the chances are pretty slim. I've had mixed success with old eggs, and anything older than 10 years is usually no longer viable, but I'll cross my fingers that these work. Just in case they don't, I have a brand new starter kit here that I can use to restart the tank with a fresh batch of eggs if necessary. Okay, and to finish up I just need to use the aqua leash to dissolve the salt crystals. This one actually has a really nice pump on it. Some of the aqua leash tools are a little stiff, but this one has a nice smooth rhythmic bounce to it. Very satisfying. Alright, let's find a spot for the tank to live. Man, this thing looks so good. Now usually with these kit review videos, I like to leave the tank set up for 5 to 6 weeks. This usually allows enough time for the sea monkeys to hatch, grow, and begin reproducing. I also feel like it gives me enough time with the tank to get a real feel for it, so I can give you guys a definitive review. This time will be a little different though. I want to see this ship covered in green algae, like a true sunken shipwreck that's sitting at the bottom of the ocean, its skeleton providing the framework to support its own mini ecosystem. The process for algae and microorganisms to properly colonize and establish in the tank can sometimes take a few months though, so the production time for this video is going to be a little longer than usual. That being said, I'll check back in with you guys in just a few days so we can see if the old eggs have hatched, and to get our first look at the pirate ship glowing in the dark. Hey guys, I just wanted to give you an update on the pirate treasure tank. It's been 8 days since I set this up, and unfortunately it doesn't look like any of those old sea monkey eggs were still viable, as I haven't seen any babies yet. I usually start seeing the first Norplee within a day or two, so I think it's best just to restart this tank with a fresh starter kit. When trying to hatch brine shrimp eggs, I found that anything more than a few years old will usually result in a decreased hatch rate, so for best results it's ideal to use new packets. I probably should have just done this from the start, but I quite enjoy the challenge of trying to hatch old cysts. I'm filming this at night because I thought we could take a look at the ship glowing in the dark today too. It's really cool how the submarine searchlight serves the dual purpose here, both lighting the tank up and simultaneously charging that phosphorescent plastic on the ship to make it glow. This looks so cool. The 10-year-old boy inside me is jumping for joy right now. I can't wait to see how this looks in a month or two when this tank is full of algae and swimming adults. I'm going to put this one to the side and let it do its thing for a few months. Hopefully when I give you the next update, this is going to look like a proper sunken pirate ship. Hey guys, the transformation is now complete. It's been 3 months since setting up the pirate treasure tank, and this thing looks even better than I had hoped. It looks amazing when glowing in the dark as well, so I'm excited to show you how that looks soon. As you can see, the pirate ship is now covered in both single-celled microalgae as well as multicellular macroalgae, also known as seaweed. Regular picocosmos viewers will know that seaweed has been showing up in a lot of my tanks recently, and even though it takes a bit of maintenance with me needing to give it weekly haircuts, I love how this stuff looks in the tank. While my sea monkeys can't eat it directly, these long strands of macroalgae create a hospitable home for microorganisms that work tirelessly to keep the tank nice and clean. It's a shame these guys are too small to be seen with the naked eye, because watching them under the microscope is a lot of fun. All of this seaweed has another benefit too, in that it produces a lot of oxygen. In fact, on sunny days when the tank is getting a lot of light, you can actually see it bubbling up to the surface. This is why I haven't been using an air stone in the tank for over a month now, and the sea monkeys don't seem to mind one bit. In fact, the colony in here is doing really well. I'm actually a little surprised given there's not that much space with the large ship in the middle, but I guess it just goes to show how beneficial algae is for these critters. They love rubbing their body against it, so the adults seem to spend most of their time either at the bottom of the tank or on the ship. Now I've also noticed a buildup of greeny brown gunk along the bottom seam of this tank. This is quite normal. It's a collection of dead algal cells, discarded sea monkey exoskeletons, and of course poop. When people see this kind of thing in their aquariums, they usually want to try and remove it to keep things looking nice and clean. But when it comes to sea monkeys, this would be a mistake, because the gunk is actually home to thousands of beneficial microorganisms, such as ciliates, that help to break down these waste products and recycle nutrients. I've talked about these microscopic animals on the channel a few times in the past, so I wasn't planning on mentioning them today, but I was absolutely shocked when I put some of this gunk under my microscope. This strange looking orange animal is a species of ciliate in the genus Pseudocheronopsis. Like other ciliates, they have small hair-like structures called cilia that they use for both movement and bringing food towards their mouth to eat. Pseudocheronopsis are found in a wide variety of aquatic environments, usually feeding on bacteria and small particles, which contributes to the decomposition of organic material. So I'm sure they feel right at home in the gunk of my sea monkey tank. I've never seen this species of ciliate in any of my other sea monkey tanks before though, so it's cool to know that this hobby still has more surprises waiting for me under my microscope. Okay, let's finally take a look at the pirate treasure tank glowing in the dark. I'll use the submarine searchlight to charge up the plastic ship for 5 minutes or so to give us a good glow. I've read a little online about how glow-in-the-dark materials work, but even after seeing a detailed explanation, it still just kind of feels like magic to me. The ship doesn't glow quite as brightly with all the algae on it, but it still creates a really nice nighttime ambience if you were to have this next to your bed. So what can I say about this kit? This has been my holy grail for so long, and after using it for a few months, I think my excitement and anticipation for all those years was completely justified. The pirate treasure lives up to the hype. This is no doubt the best looking sea monkey tank I've ever reviewed on the channel, and I don't think anything is going to surpass it either. The classic Ocean Zoo design with the sunken pirate ship covered in green seaweed is the perfect combo. Now, I could nitpick and look for design flaws or things I'd like improved, but sometimes you just need to sit back and acknowledge when something's really good. The pirate treasure is a 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.